All right, Lindsay, what's in your lens today?
Yep, let's get to it. So, for decades, the EPA did something pretty simple and frankly essential. When it wrote clean air rules, it counted the lives those rules were expected to save. Fewer asthma attacks, fewer heart and lung diseases, fewer people dying too soon because of the air they breathe, making them sick. That wasn't politics, that was just the baseline for protecting public health. Now that math is changing. The New York Times first reported that under this administration, the EPA plans to stop assigning any dollar value to the health benefits of reducing two of the most dangerous air pollutants we face every single day: fine particulate matter, known as PM 2.5, and ozone. Instead, the agency will weigh only what those regulations cost in industry. That's not a technical tweak, that's a philosophical shift, and a consequential one. PM 2.5 particles are so small, they slip deep into the lungs and even into the bloodstream. Ozone forms smog. Long-term exposure to both is linked to asthma, heart disease, lung disease, and premature death. Research published in the European Respiratory shows that even moderate exposure to PM 2.5 can damage the lungs about as much as smoking cigarettes. This isn't abstract. This is science that we've known for years. Now, under the Biden administration, tighter PM 2.5 limits were projected to prevent up to 4,500 premature deaths and 290,000 lost workdays in a single year. For every dollar spent reducing pollution, the EPA estimated as much as $77 in health benefits. Sounds like a great thing, right? Well, the Trump administration argues those health estimates are too uncertain and that monetizing them creates, quote, false precision. But uncertainty has always existed. Different administrations have debated how much a human life is worth in cost-benefit analysis. What is new is that no administration before has treated that value as zero. As Richard Reves of NYU told the Times, the idea that the EPA would not consider the public health benefits of its regulation is an anathema to the very mission of the EPA. He went further. If you're only considering the costs to industry and you're ignoring the benefits, then you can't justify any regulations that protect public health, which is the very reason that the EPA was set up. The agency says it's still, quote, considering health impacts, just not monetizing them. But the reality is in Washington, when you don't put it on the balance sheet, it gets ignored. If only one side of the ledger has numbers attached, that side wins. This shift also makes it easier to roll back pollution limits on power plants, refineries, and factories, lowering costs for companies while almost certainly leading to dirtier air. And there's a legal irony here. James Goodwin, the co-executive director at the Center for Progressive Reform, noted that the move appeared to ignore the 2015 Supreme Court case Michigan versus the EPA. In the majority opinion, Justice Antonin Scalia wrote that if an agency considers the benefits of a regulation, it must also consider the costs, and vice versa. So essentially, taking lives off the ledger doesn't rebalance the scales, it breaks them. Now, I know you were happy when you saw, was it Bill Gates kind of moderated his stance on the environment? You were like, oh, we're not putting all our eggs in that basket of like, okay, we're killing the environment. I'm not also that person that thinks that everything has to do with climate change and the environment, but I don't think that we should. These numbers that we've been looking at under multiple administrations that have fluctuated have always told us how many pollutants are causing people to take sick days off, not coughing in the office, and then things like asthma, which I actually have, and it's not a big deal, but it's a bigger deal depending on where I am and how polluted the air is. And you also know that poorer communities end up with poorer circumstances. So, for example, in a place where factories are, like a Beaumont, Texas, like they have tons of smoke coming from these factories in the air, oil refineries, and it's not regulated to the same degree. So then companies like ExxonMobil are just going to continue to flourish while we have no regulation. And so I don't know that this is the best idea. He said we're still looking at all the things, but not worried about how many lives it saves or how much money. And it's like we need to worry about all the things because the economy runs on money. People not showing up to work runs on money. The only people who worry about money are now how much these big companies that are putting pollutants in the air are benefiting. And I think we should do better than that.
Well, I would hope they would consider the impact in terms of harm or lives lost from polluted air, and also the impact of lives saved or improved by whatever product this factory is making. I mean, we need oil, we need things factories build. In fact, part of the big Trump administration push was to build more things here. I'm not for. I do not like the EPA. I think it.
You don't like the entire EPA?
I would probably shut down the entire thing. But among the things it does that are more valuable and valid would be, yeah. So we need government. I'll meet you halfway. We need government management of truly public spaces that don't have a direct property owner, rivers, forests, the sky, the air. Yeah, you need standards, you need government management for, yes, how much toxic fumes you can pump into the air. You're right. That is going to be regulated because that's a space that's not specifically owned by one person. The rivers like that too, the lakes, the oceans, etc. We need some government management. I do concede that. I think the EPA tends to overemphasize those kinds of hard, and they also just make you do so much bureaucratic nonsense. Like, you're going to build a factory, they are going to let you do it, or a house or whatever you want to build, a road. They just want you to do an environmental impact report. They want you to spend years putting together this giant stack of papers where you consider the cost to the 10-footed sloth, and then you just have to make this report. It takes forever to do it, and then it proceeds. Okay. So it's creating busy work. It's creating jobs for bureaucrats. And the fate of the 10-footed, what did I say, footed? I meant 10-toed. I made up this animal. The fate of the 10-toed sloth, it's kind of sad or whatever, but we got to kill all those sloths so that we can have, the sloth's life is not valuable enough.
We're not talking about sloths. We're talking about the fact that the administration does not want to calculate the effects to human life, right? They want to take that out of the calculation because they said it's not accurate. But every administration prior to this that's been engaging with the EPA in this way has calculated that. So if a new company comes, like you said, and has to create a report that might be some tedious work for them, won't take years. They probably have people to do that because they're about to stand to make millions or billions with this new factory.
Can't build anything.
Wait, let me say, they build the factory and then they have people working there and going to build the economy. But the EPA is simply asking, when you are using this much electricity, when you're infecting the environment, putting this much smoke in the air, how many people will you affect? And they would like to see that thoroughly so they can understand not just the 10-footed sloths or whatever you're talking about, real people, real little kids that have asthma, real people that are affected by the environment. How will you affect the community? It's not always about money and who you're going to employ. Like, if the community is deteriorating and can't have clean air or like clean water, for instance, which we've seen in recent history, unfortunately, in a lot of poorer communities, well, that's a problem. And we need to make sure that doesn't happen.
But poor communities are also not helped by nothing being built because of onerous environmental regulation. I mean, they tried to build some of the money federal government approved. This happened under Biden. It was voted for to build electric car charging stations all over the country. They built none of them. Zero. This is money. Congress voted for it, and President Biden signed it and said, we would like to build more of these environmental charging stations. This would be good for the economy. This is good for the environment because we want to move in this direction. And they can't build them. Even though they have appropriated the money to do it, the government has said, yes, build it, and it was voted for, and it would be good for the environment. And they can't do it. Why? Because it's too difficult. The process to build things is too tough because the red tape is exhaustive. And the environmental impact regulations is a big part of that. It's not the whole story, but getting rid of all of that, we would have to consider that just doing away with all of that would actually be better for the environment because we could build more electric.
And you'd have to walk around with a mask on, which I know you love because you hardly could breathe because of the chemicals.
I'm saying no, we would have a cleaner air because even clean, good, new things that can improve the environment, we can't build those because of the stupid sloth. Next up, the Golden Globes were held on Sunday and things got testy between Wanda Sykes and Bill Maher. Stay with us.